Hello, everyone. I am Jill Schiebelman, a partner at Stories, Inc., and welcome back to our last LinkedIn Live of March. In our previous session, we talked about the 4 mistakes in employee storytelling and how to fix them, and that was a ton of fun. So if you missed it, please go back and listen to it. We'll drop a link to it in the comments here. And speaking of links and comments, we've got Lauren with us today. He's going to be in the comments providing resources, sharing links, answering questions. So if you need anything, feel free to drop it there, or even just to share your experience. We'd love to hear from you. Today, we're going to take the concept of storytelling and go a little bit further. We're going to talk about advanced storytelling techniques that you can use for even greater impact in your employee storytelling work. And I'm not here alone today either, thank goodness. I've got some other folks with me. So I've got 2 members of our creative team who are joining us today. Ryan Siegel, a video content creator on our team, and Doyle Maurer, our creative director. Hey, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, welcome. So today our session is part educational and part inspirational. We're going to cover the psychology of storytelling. We're going to talk through a couple of advanced storytelling techniques, and then we'll explore how can you apply this to employee storytelling work. And we know that everyone is always looking for a new take on the classic corporate video. So today is a chance to get some inspiration of how to tell culture stories in a little bit of a different way. So in this vein, we've got a few examples we're going to share, and our examples today come from employer brand, but also from consumer marketing, because I think there's lots that we can learn across the board about how to tell stories in different ways. So Doyle, let's get started. So what should everyone keep in mind as they listen to today's session? Set the stage a little bit for us.
Yeah, so first, this is one of my favorite topics to talk about, and I'm just really excited to be here today. What I think everyone should keep in mind is that while there's a lot of different video storytelling techniques out there, employee-focused content is best when it's authentic, genuine, and paints a realistic picture. So the concepts we're going to talk about today are still going to be best applied through someone's actual lived experience.
100% agree. So advanced storytelling doesn't mean a big budget production or something that isn't genuine and isn't really grounded in an employee experience. All that still applies to anything that we talk about today. Cool. So let's talk a little bit about the psychology of storytelling. We always say that our hearts and our brains are hardwired for stories, and storytelling is deeply rooted in psychology. When we watch or we hear stories, they tap into various cognitive and emotional processes that really do shape us as people and as humans. So Ryan, tell us a couple of principles of psychology that we often see at play in storytelling.
Great. So some of these principles can range from suspense or tension, empathy, emotion, and my favorite, surprise and novelty.
Yeah, awesome. So tell me a little bit more about how these impact storytelling.
For example, so emotions play a crucial role because all the emotions tend to activate empathy in the audience, and it tends to make the audience kind of, I guess, so more receptive to the message that is being conveyed. And when stories invoke strong emotions such as sadness, joy, hope, it tends to be more, to stick with you more.
Yeah.
And to last longer in your head. And yeah.
Cool. Doyle, what do you think of those emotions? Empathy, emotions, suspense, surprise?
Yeah, I think Ryan made a lot of great points. And a couple of the ones I love in the list are suspense and surprise, just because they're fun. Suspense is a powerful storytelling tool that can keep your audience engaged and eager to know what happens next. So it creates a sense of anticipation and curiosity, and it really helps your audience be active participants in the storytelling process as they're looking for a resolution. Surprise is another great way to capture attention, and it leaves a lasting impression. Unexpected twists or revelations in a story can help disrupt your audience's expectations, and it piques their curiosity. And that really leads to a more emotional response and increased engagement, which ultimately makes your content more memorable and more likely to be shared.
Yeah, I love all of those. So Ryan, what are some ways that we should think about using these type of elements in employee storytelling?
Great. So the first 5 to 7 seconds of a video are super important. Create a hook and kind of to pull the audience in, and that can be done in ways like surprise, suspense, and some ways to grab attention is shocking information, a personal story, question, or my favorite, humor. Just tends to grab the audience and keep them interested.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we think about all of these emotions, it's using those in that hook, that first few seconds, to really capture people's attention. So we've got an example here, and this is a consumer marketing example that goes to the idea of sort of shocking information. So starting a video with something that's unexpected. So let's watch that quickly.
The seatbelt is a violation of human rights.
It's better to be thrown out than to be trapped inside.
没人能对我的生活指手画脚。
This is very upsetting.
Wearing a seatbelt is a terrible idea.
Okay, that's the first 20 seconds, not the first 5 or 7. But Ryan, as you see a video like that, what works for you?
So for me, it creates a sense of suspense to the viewer because so they know the end of the story for the beginning, so they want to stick around and see how it all plays out. Plus, it allows for creativity because you're not kind of set, in the classic, in the classic story in the linear way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we all know, like you said, the end of the story about seatbelts, right? But to see the beginning of the story and the reaction that people had initially is pretty eye-opening.
Sure.
Doyle, as we, we'll think, you keep this in mind and keep all the emotion stuff in mind here. And let's talk about the advanced storytelling techniques that can help us get there so that we can tell unique stories in a different way to leverage these. So Doyle, tell us about the first advanced storytelling technique.
Yeah, so the first one we're going to talk about is nonlinear storytelling, which is similar to what Ryan was just talking about. This is a technique that starts a story but shares it in a non-sequential way. So an example of that is where the story starts at the end instead of the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. And Ryan just shared a lot of that, of this idea of it creates a sense of suspense. It allows for creativity. You're not married to like, this happened, then this happened, then this happened, and then this happened. So great. Nonlinear storytelling. So let's watch a couple examples of that, and we can talk about how to apply that. And so again, the first one we're going to watch is a consumer marketing example from Nike to show a little bit about nonlinear storytelling.
Anyone can become a refugee. It's not something that you choose. 6 years old coming to, a country where you're not really familiar with the people, the culture. But, I was overwhelmed. Yeah, you see what I see through this camera. The football pitch was one of the first places I felt like home. I'm Alfonso Davies, and I played football. When I found my first team, I was home. I belonged there. Every time I step on that pitch, I'm comfortable. Family is a big thing for me. I'm thankful for my parents, everything they went through, being a war torn country, coming to Canada, not giving up on us. First time I see my mom cry was when she was explaining how proud she was of me. You can see the joy and the excitement on her and my dad's face. That for me is just gold.
So Ryan, as you watch that, tell us a little bit about what that does for you with the nonlinear storytelling idea.
So that's a great one. So I guess from viewer's point of view, you see it's a Nike commercial, so he is someone, and he is he's made it. But by showing the flashbacks, it makes you want to stick around to see how he got to where he is now, and that's a great way. And it definitely drags you in, makes you want to stick around to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And we've got one more short example of sort of nonlinear storytelling, but this idea of telling stories in a little bit of a different way. So this is one from Sophia Genetics. And so we'll watch just a quick clip of that.
When I was 15 from breast cancer. And one of the reasons that she passed away was she was not well diagnosed. 10 years after my mom passed away, I lost my aunt as well to brain cancer. And she died 18 days after her diagnosis, just because the diagnosis wasn't there. So Sophia was a place where I felt like I could really change that for the future generations so that other people didn't have to lose the people they loved. The amazing thing working here is we don't have to search for a purpose. It's so obvious to us that what we're doing makes a difference. We're helping clinicians do research to find that next marker that will be the next thing that we can help them cure or help them find a treatment for. All of that is really at the heart of what we do, and we don't lose sight of why we're doing this.
So that's still a little linear, but it's also a little bit different. Ryan, is there something unique for you in that one?
Yeah. So by her opening up, with the emotional story of her mom, it kind of pulls you in, but it also, it makes the viewer kind of want to stick around to see, why she's telling this story in the first place. And then, and then it starts to lead in to the company and to say, the support and everything, that they gave her and why she's there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like a lot of times in employee story videos, it starts without like, my purpose is to help others with cancer or something, like it's just stated. And then it goes into maybe telling some stories. So doing it this way, where like it opens with the story, it opens with the emotion, and then goes into the rest of it, is a unique way to do it.
Jill, to add to that just a little bit, sometimes it'll start with our mission is too. So it's more of a company initiative that goes down instead of going up.
Totally. Great point. So Doyle, as we think about how you create content in a nonlinear way, what are some things that people should think about?
Yeah, so this is a little bit of a different way of thinking about it, but every story to me is like putting a jigsaw puzzle together. It can be challenging to know where to start when you have a table full of pieces that aren't categorized. But similar to finding all the pieces or the edges and organizing them by color, I like to pull the best sound bites and organize them by themes. So this really helps you break up the mold of beginning and end, and it helps you look for connections that you maybe wouldn't have considered otherwise. From there, there's really two different ways to get started on a nonlinear story. First, it's to select the most compelling soundbite and put it at the beginning of your story. Then look for the connecting pieces that tie to the concepts of that first soundbite until you get to a clear ending. The other option is to think about the story from start to finish, take the end and put it at the beginning, and then look for themes that tie that together, despite when they really happened in the timeline.
Yeah, awesome. Those are all great points. Cool. So that was the first, nonlinear storytelling. What's our second advanced storytelling technique, Doyle?
Yeah, the next one is multi-perspective storytelling. So we see this used a lot in employee storytelling, but there's different ways to do it. So using this technique involves bringing in a variety of viewpoints and insights into a story from a group of diverse people and different experiences. So the reason we see this a lot is because it works. Your audience wants to see themselves in your content. So multiple viewpoints is the most well-rounded way, and it's effective in doing that.
Yeah, you're right. We see this used a lot in employer brand videos or any type of employee video where we're including multiple people to show diversity and different viewpoints. But are we maybe missing something? Is there another way to approach this and do something different than what we always do now?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. We usually see this approach used when it's a video around a certain theme, something like women in tech. So the video would include 3 to 5 different women talking about their work, the support the company gives them. And that's a really great use for multiple perspective storytelling. But a different way, and maybe a more unique way to do that, is to take one story and get multiple viewpoints from different people instead of just sticking to one theme. So you can have multiple people share different angles of one story together.
Yeah, that's definitely a nuanced take on this. And so Ryan, what are some of the advantages that you see to multi-perspective storytelling when we think about it this way, one story and different perspectives?
Yeah, so hearing it from different people and multiple points of view deepens the audience's understanding because you're hearing it, from a few sources instead of one. And on that same token, it tends to develop some more let's call it more empathy and emotion because you're hearing it from multiple sources as well. So you're hearing it from different people, and that present emotion, and then also it introduces some novelty because you're hearing it from a few people once again. So yeah, I think that's a really great way to tell a story, and it definitely it tend to relate to the audience and keep them engaged.
Yeah, cool. So we've got our last example, and this is a story, one story told with different people telling the story. So let's take a look.
I'm Leslie, and we're identical twins, and we both work for Lockheed Martin. After high school, we decided to go our separate ways. I think that was a really good opportunity to just kind of explore our individual selves and become not just the twins, but someone individual. It also made us miss each other. It's interesting because even in finding ourselves individually, our preferences for knowledge and science and math were really the same. We both started in Ocala at the Missiles and Fire Control there, which is a production facility. My experience with Lockheed Martin has always been engaging. It's always a new problem to solve, a nuance that we didn't think of in the design or the production setup. Something that's most satisfying for me in my current role is working on getting development products, new technology into production. It makes me extremely proud that I am able to personally contribute to giving them the technologies that they need to be successful. We'll have a brand new piece of test equipment and we may start having failures for the first units, and I don't quite understand it, but I need feedback from the person who's closest to it. And so I'm able to call her up and without much background at all, explain the situation and say, hey, what are your thoughts on it? And I can give my technical understanding of the test equipment, and then she can give me the perspective from the business standpoint of why do we care and when do we need to get it back up and running.
Okay, quick clip there. And I mean, fun fact, they're twins. And so they were literally finishing each other's sentences in the story. So that's a very easy way for two people to tell a story when they can finish each other's sentences. But Ryan, when you see a story like this, what works for you as we think about a multi-perspective storytelling approach?
Yeah. So, to start off, because they're twins, it kind of, it's a sense of novelty in itself because it's, a cool thing to see. It's not as common to see, twins on screen together, and they're trading off telling the story, which is a nice, kind of way to do it. And you almost trust the story more because you have two sides of the same story.
Great point.
Plus they're referring to one another, so you get that kind of part of it. Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of story, there's a kind of a trust to get from two sides of the same story because you're not just, having a single point of view. You have, a few, and this one, is great because they are twins and it adds a little more.
Yeah, those are all fantastic points. And it makes me think of a video we did for First Solar about the history of the company. And that one has 5 or 6 people who've been there for quite some time talking about the start of the company. And it's the same kind of thing. It's like one clip, and every person builds on the story versus saying different things. It's like the story builds off of everything they say, which is super cool. So we can drop a link to that in the chat too. Cool. Anything else on multi-perspective storytelling, or I guess do I want to talk about how do you actually do it, right? So what are some tips as we think about, someone trying to do something from a multi-perspective?
Yeah, I think one of the ways to make this work really well is for your interviewer to go in and have really great active listening skills. So if you're interviewing multiple people and you hear a great story from one of them that includes other people that you'll be talking to, you want to write that down. You don't want to miss the opportunity for them to tell the same story from the same point of view.
Yeah.
Kind of like you all were talking about, having multiple people in one video kind of connects to our feeling of relationships and how people connect with each other. So it's nice to see.
Yeah. And that idea of if you hear one story from someone and you want to know what other people experience too, like what kind of questions could you ask to everyone in your interviews to make sure that you're getting a full rounded story that you could put together a piece like this?
Yeah. It's not a fun feeling when you get back and you have pieces of a story, but you can't tell the whole thing. So you really want to get the full story from everyone. So some questions you could ask the people are, take me into the room. What specifically happened in that moment? Why were those things important to you? What was the impact of what happened? And how did you feel in that moment? Asking everyone questions like these gives you a lot more meaningful content, and it creates more natural transitions that actually connect the stories together during the editing process.
Yeah, great. Okay, that was a lot of information in a short amount of time. Let's wrap up with some other practical tips that you can use to be an even more advanced employee storyteller. So Doyle, let's bring it home. What are some best practices for implementing advanced storytelling techniques?
Let's do it. I have a list of 5 tips for advanced storytelling techniques. So first is to prepare storytellers in advance. Make sure that they know the goal of the video is for them to actually share their story as a person. They're not being told to say anything, but just share from their own heart, really. Try ignoring the order of events when scripting or piecing together a video. You can look for the most intriguing or interesting moment, start with that, and then build from there. The other thing is to leave space for storytellers during the interview. So let them emote, allow moments of silence, and really try to connect with them on a personal level. The next is to not go into interviews with too many preconceived ideas of what you're making. Be open to following the story where they take it. Planning is really great, but over planning can cause tunnel vision and missed opportunities. The last one, number 5, is to consider the shared experiences of multiple storytellers. So think about how they can weave their stories together instead of one person telling the whole story.
Yeah, awesome. Those are great tips. Ryan and Doyle, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your wisdom with all of us. I love the perspective that both of you have on content, so really appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So just something to remember, great employee stories will impact people on an emotional level and will be memorable. So as you think about how can I make stories that people remember, it's by using really authentic and genuine employee stories. And you can use these principles that we talked about with storytelling content, like emotion, empathy, surprise, suspense, to bring somebody in to the story and keep them watching. And then also there's other things we talked about, like nonlinear storytelling, multi-perspective storytelling. So lots of different ways that you can bring employee stories to life. So thanks everyone so much for joining us today. We'll be back in a few weeks with another topic, and we look forward to seeing you then. Thanks.